Hey y'all, it's Craig again here with the Montana Real Estate Channel and Cypher's Family Real Estate. Our family's been helping folks transition into the Montana area since 1966, and we'd love to be a resource for you. And this is our second part in our two-part video on the Missoula area. And so today we are going to take a look at several neighborhoods around Missoula. And so we want to jump right in that. But remember, if you want to make sure you get the latest information on Montana real estate, what you want to do is just click on that little logo there on the bottom of your right-hand side and subscribe to the channel, and be sure that you get notified when we put up a new video on a particular community in Western Montana. We get text, emails, phone calls every day from folks just like you. We'd love to be a resource for you. We know the area well. We also have offices across the state of Montana. And so let's jump into it. So on this video, we are going to be taking a look at, we're going to come and take a look at the Upper Rattlesnake. This is an area that goes into wilderness, the Rattlesnake Wilderness area, a wonderful area in Missoula. And then what we'll do is we'll come over here off of I-90 and we'll take a look at Reserve Street, which goes from I-90 to Highway 90, US Highway 93. We're going to take a look at primarily North Reserve, which is at Clark Fork River and north. That's where a lot of your big box stores are, and very heavy business district. And then we'll take a little bit of time and check out some of the neighborhoods in to the east of Reserve Street. You can see we've got Costco Wholesale up there. This area right here is known as 44 Ranch Park, and we'll look at some homes there. And then we're going to move a little further east, and we're going to take in the Ranch Club Golf Course. All of these are in different price points, so you can see what your money can buy there. This area in here is Grant Creek, comes down through this area and then flows into the Clark Fork River over here. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Kona Ranch Road, go across the river here and hit into what's known as Big Flat, and it's great horse country. And then we'll go around the corner and get up high enough over the city of Missoula that will be on the southwest side, and we'll go into a little area called Haze Creek, and that will be down here just off of Highway 93. We'll have here's Blue Mountain, but this area in here is known as Blue Mountain, and then Haze Creek sits up in this area over here. So let's go check out the real estate in up the Rattlesnake, and then Reserve Street and west. Here we are, just 5 miles from downtown Missoula.
Now here we are at the Upper Rattlesnake. This is the Rattlesnake National Recreational Area. It's the main trailhead into Rattlesnake Wilderness, and very close to Missoula. Great spot to come to and take a hike. We're going to go down here a little ways and take a look at Rattlesnake Creek and some of the area of Upper Rattlesnake, houses and price points. And then we'll go down into the lower Rattlesnake area and look at some of those neighborhoods.
The Rattlesnake National Recreation Area is over 60,000 acres, and Rattlesnake Creek is more like a small river fed by more than 50 small creeks and empties into the Clark Fork River with waters that end up in the Columbia River and then the Pacific Ocean. Homes in the Rattlesnake are generally nestled in the lodgepole and ponderosa pines. They vary in age, size, and price point. Some homes here go back to the 1950s, and some were built in 2014 or later. Prices also vary greatly. A 2,000 square foot home on 2 acres might fetch 750 to 850,000. Coming up on some for sale signs, the property we're passing right here is a 3,000 square foot home built in 1973 on 3.14 acres and listed for $2.65 million, and it's currently under contract. A 3,500 square foot home on less than an acre built in 1965 with private well and septic was listed for $750,000 and closed in mid-2023 for $860,000, demonstrating the popular nature of this area of Missoula. Despite its name, there have been no verified sightings of rattlesnakes in this area. You will, however, find ample opportunities to view many other wildlife species, including beaver, deer, elk, mountain goats, and black bear. There can be the rare grizzly traveling through this area as well. Sometimes you might hear the haunting howl of a lone wolf, deepening the feeling of wilderness. The upper reaches of the Rattlesnake Wilderness area north of McLeod Peak and rugged Rattlesnake Divide were once Vision Quest sites for the Salish Indians. Today, the Flathead Indian Reservation protects this sacred land, which is open only to tribal members. You might want to see our video on R. Lee and St. Ignatius. Traveling down the Rattlesnake, we see in the distance 10 Spoon Winery and Vineyard, a 21-plus acre parcel with a Mediterranean-style main home with 3 additional dwellings on a conservation easement offered at $5,650,000. In the lower Rattlesnake, one of the older developments is Lincolnwood, where homes were built between the late 1960s into the mid-1980s. Homes range in size between 1,500 and 3,000 square feet, and many have basements, and the architecture ranges from mid-century modern to somewhat different styles such as mansard. Prices have ranged from the low 800s to over $1 million on a quarter-acre lot. In Lincolnwood, homes don't last long. Currently, there are 2 listings, one on a third of an acre, 3,012 square feet, with a price tag of $1.7 million, and one fronting on Rattlesnake Creek on 1.3 acres. It's 3,400 square feet. It's 4-bedroom, 3-bath for $2.2 million. You can see in this area, these homes are very well maintained and they are extremely rare to come to market. You can see in the background the upper Rattlesnake area, and this area is just very close to downtown Missoula. Here is an example of mansard architecture. First known example was credited to Pierre Lescott on part of the Louvre, built around 1550. That house was built in Missoula Rattlesnake Community in 1966. It sits on a quarter-acre lot, is masonry and frame, with 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, with 4,500 square feet of finished space, including 1,200 square feet in the basement. In the lower Rattlesnake is the Brookside luxury townhomes, which range from roughly 2,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath homes. In the lower 600,000s, 2 units over 3,400 square feet with 4 bedrooms and 3 baths that go for over $900,000. There is currently 1 unit for sale, which is a 2,100 square foot, 2-bedroom, 3.5-bath, listed at $645,000, and at the time of this video has been on the market for 50 days. These are well-appointed units with great landscaping, including a nice pond in the common area. These units were built between 1988 and 2003. Now we are heading to North Reserve Street, Missoula's traffic nightmare, where most of the large box stores are located, including Costco and Lowe's. From this video, the traffic appears pretty tame, but during high traffic times like rush hour, from say 3:30 to 6:30 p.m., it might take you a half hour to travel the 5.5 miles from US Highway 93 to Interstate 90. Avoid Reserve Street like the plague during rush hour. But that's how you get to Home Depot, Staples, a variety of fast food restaurants, hotels, and, of course, our Super Walmart at Mullen Road. So let's go down Mullen Road and see what neighborhoods we can see. There are a number of developments near Mullen Road, And this development is 44 Ranch. It was platted in 2006, and homes began to be built there immediately, and it's been building out ever since. It's a great area that's just off Mullen Road, just to the north. And now, interestingly, Mullen Road was the first wagon road to cross the Rocky Mountains, and it was built by the U.S. Army troops under the command of Lieutenant John Mullen between the spring of 1859 and the summer of 1860. And it led from Fort Benton, Montana, which was at the time in Dakota Territory, then Idaho Territory, and then, of course, Montana Territory. Size from 1,300 square feet up to 3,000 square feet, and price points are from mid-500s to the low 700s. This area has been building out for many years, and it has a lot of different developments here, and we'll see a variety of them right now. Affordable housing has been a big issue in Missoula, particularly post-pandemic, and one method of providing affordable housing is mobile home parks. Now, this is Old Hellgate Village, just off Mullen Road, and it was established in 1970 with 34 units. Now, the park was purchased recently by the residents to avoid displacement. Now, the residents, with the help of a group called NeighborWorks, were able to get a loan to purchase the park, and raw rents right now are $600 per month, which goes to pay the loan. So the residents can live there without fear of displacement or rent increases. Resident-owned communities, which are sometimes called resident-owned cooperatives, are gaining in popularity across the country. And trailer court residents own their homes, but not the land underneath. So there are now at least 1,000 trailer courts in the U.S. that have been converted to resident-owned communities, and there are actually 17 in Montana. Here at Old Hellgate Village, one could expect to pay in the range between $100,000 and $150,000 for a unit, depending on age and size, condition, etc. Now, this is a great way for residents to have confidence rents won't go through the roof, and it allows them to sell their unit without fear of having to move them, and that allows them to maintain their value. Our next community or neighborhood in Missoula is just down the road from Old Hellgate Village Mobile Home Park, and it's a drastic contrast to it. It's the Ranch Club, which is a locally owned semi-private golf club and Missoula's only traditional links course. Now, links courses are the oldest style of golf course that was first developed in Scotland, and it's characterized by natural terrain that's been shaped by wind, rain, and the sea, and the most famous being St. Andrews. Now, while Missoula does not have a sea, this course has an undulating surface and has a great real estate market built around it. Now, homes in the Ranch Club range in size from roughly 2,000 square feet up to nearly 5,000 square feet, and they were built between 2004 and as late as, say, 2023 or 2024. These homes have sold between the mid-800s to 2 million or more, and recently a home that was built in 2011 sold for 2.2 million, and it was 6,800 square feet with approximately 2,500 square feet of that in finished basement, and it was on a third of an acre, and it closed in June of 2023 and was on the market for just 115 days. Now, you can expect to pay $1 million to $1.5 million for most of the homes in the Ranch Club. Ranch Club has great views. It's really close to downtown Missoula, straight shot on Mullen Road into that area of North Reserve where you've got the restaurants and the big box stores, and then you can hit Broadway and go on down to Midtown on Higgins. So the Ranch Club is a great place to play golf and a lot of fun. And next we're going to go west and go across the Clark Fork River onto the area of Big Flat. We're now traveling south off of Mullen Road on Clona Ranch Road, and we're looking at a development called Pleasant Acres with lot sizes of 5 acres. And the homes here range in size from 2,000 square feet up to 3,200 square feet. And they were built in the early to mid-1990s. And now we're coming up to cross the Clark Fork River onto what is known as the Big Flat. And of course, that area that we just were, there really are no homes for sale there now, but there are on the Big Flat a number of newer subdivisions such as this one that we see here. And many of the newer subdivisions here are lots of approximately 1 to 2 acres. And as we go further south on Kona Ranch Road, we'll hit Big Flat Road, where there are 5 and 10 acre parcels with great horse setups. And the homes range in size from, a couple of hundred or 2,000 square feet on up. These homes in this particular subdivision, they go roughly from 3,000 square feet. And these homes will sell in the range of 1 million plus. And when we get around the corner of Big Flat Road, those 5 and 10 acre parcels are pretty popular. There's nothing there right now that's for sale. This newer subdivision, we've seen a couple of properties that have closed out in the range of, I would say, something in the neighborhood of $774,000 for a 4-bed, 3-bath, but that's a fairly rare, and we've had one that sold for just a little over $1.1 million. And then we'll get around the corner and go along the Bitterroot River towards the Blue Mountain area. So as we travel down, this is the Big Flat Road overlooking. Now this is the Bitterroot River, as before it flows into the Clark Fork. And then what we'll do is we'll get up here on the Big Flat. We'll turn into Blue Mountain, and we'll stop here at the Trailhead at Blue Mountain.
Here we are at the Blue Mountain Trailhead. It gets a lot of use, as you can see, all the cars that are down in the parking lot. A lot of miles of trails out here. Great for the dogs, great for mountain bike riding. And you can see Missoula off in the distance, sprawling out there to the east. And so we're just south of Missoula. The Blue Mountain area is just kind of the start of getting towards the Bitterroot Valley. And you'll want to learn more about this, you can just always Google Blue Mountain Trailhead. If you get into the Missoula area, this is a great recreational area.
Here's a map of the Blue Mountain recreational area. And we're going to go from here, go a little bit west, and drop into the Haze Creek drainage. Just west and south of the 4,000-acre Blue Mountain recreational area, with its 41 miles of trails in Haze Creek, is the Woodland Heights development. This area was developed in the late 1970s and has been very popular. Properties do not come to market very often here. In the lower part of Haze Creek, the properties are a little bit bigger. They're anywhere from 2-3 acres, and some 9 or 10 acre properties. But in the Woodland Heights development, they are generally somewhere in the half-acre range. And what we're looking at here is the top of the Blue Mountain recreational area, and the Woodland Heights development is directly behind us. And there's some beautiful properties up in the upper part of the Haze Creek, and the Woodland Heights development, which was, as I mentioned, started in the late 70s, about 1977. Very, very popular. They don't come on the market very often. And the homes are generally built from between 1977 and 1981. And the development here, your properties are generally between 1,300 and 2,300 square feet. And we'll see some examples here up in the Woodland Heights area. A lot of these will have basements in them, and they'll be finished. The last home that sold in here was 2,300 square feet with a finished basement, and it sold for $820,000. And this is just going into the Bitterroot Valley, southwest of Missoula. And as I mentioned, it's extremely popular. The one that did sell, of course, as I mentioned, was in March of 2022. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to see down here on the road on Haze Creek where some of the larger properties are.
that in Haze Creek drops into US Highway 93, and we'll be able to take a panoramic view of Missoula looking from the area going into the Bitterroot Valley. So we'll take a look at that. Well, that's the end of part 2 of Missoula. And as you can see out over US Highway 93 in the distance, we can see some of the lower Miller Creek, upper Miller Creek, South Hills that we covered in the last one. Thanks for watching Montana Real Estate Channel. We'll see you on the next round.